Gwenyth Paltrow is one of those celebrities that people love to hate. And it's not just everyday people that dislike Gwenyth, a lot of Hollywood celebrities don't like her either. That's why today I'm going to be talking about the celebrities who tried to warn us about Gwenyth Paltrow. I'm Mackenzie and make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Firstly, we got Jessica Alba. Both Jessica Alba and Gwenyth Paltrow are lifestyle gurus that focus on clean beauty and natural products. So you'd think that these two would be the best of friends considering they have so much in common. But it seems to be the exact opposite, and these two essentially hate each other. Gwenyth of course owns Goop, while Jessica Alba owns The Honest Company, which aims to emphasize household products to supply the marketplace for ethical consumerism. And they actually sell her products in Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada, so that's very cool. Their relationship was put to the test on the set of their TV series, Planet of the Apps, where it was made clear that they hate each other. One insider claimed that the pair were like oil and water, to the point where it was shocking that they could agree on anything. Both women also took jabs at the other's company. Paltrow made a point to say Goop was an ethical company, contrasting legal claims that The Honest Company was not. Jessica Alba responded by claiming Goop was only for the wealthy and that The Honest Company caters to real women. Of course, these disagreements spilled over to the show. Jessica is very hands-on while producing, while Gwenyth prefers to delegate tasks. The series never made it past the first season, I wonder why. Next up, Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart and Gwenyth Paltrow have been throwing subtle digs at each other for years, and it's clear that they do not like one another. It seems that Martha might actually be the one throwing most of the shade, if you can believe it. The feud started in 2014 when Martha was asked about Gwenyth for some reason. When speaking to Porter magazine, Stewart said that Paltrow, quote, just needs to be quiet. She's a movie star. If she were confident in her acting, she wouldn't be trying to be Martha Stewart. Clearly, Martha thinks that Gwenyth is trying to take her place as a home and lifestyle guru. But that's not all. Martha took another swipe at Paltrow when she published a spread in Martha Stewart Living about a pie called Conscious Coupling, which is clearly a reference to Paltrow's conscious uncoupling from her ex-husband Chris Martin. Paltrow decided to hit back by making a Goop recipe for, quote, jailbird cake to reference Martha's time behind bars. Martha then took another dig on a 2017 episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen when Martha asked, who's Goop? Classic Mariah Carey stuff, if you get that joke. Next up, Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan is another celebrity that has shaded Gwenyth Paltrow in the past. Whether it was serious or not is the real question. It's been said before that Gwenyth does not have a good memory, as she often forgets that she's met or even worked with people before. One of the people she's forgotten was Sebastian Stan, even though they were both in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and they even starred in the same movies at one point, in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Even with that, Gwenyth still did not remember who he was. Sebastian exposed this to the world on Instagram. While they were both at Paris Fashion Week, they snapped a photo together in a big group, and his caption read, quote, glad I got to reintroduce myself to Gwenyth Paltrow for the third time, adding, quote, we're in the same film, to make things even more shady. Hopefully Gwenyth took the shade well and doesn't forget him again. How could you forget him? Next up, NASA. Yep, you read that right. Even NASA has shaded Gwenyth in the past. It all started when Goop began promoting body vibe stickers, which according to Gizmodo, claim to use, quote, NASA's spacesuit material to rebalance the energy frequency in our bodies. But it turned out that it was a load of BS, like pretty much everything else on the site. After some backlash, Body Vibes got rid of the NASA claim, claiming it was an error by the distributor. Goop addressed the error in a statement, writing, quote, our content is meant to highlight unique products and offerings, find open-minded alternatives, and encourage conversation. Which I guess is exactly what happened, because hey, we're talking about it at the end of the day. Next up, Vanity Fair. Gwenyth Paltrow generally has a pretty good relationship with the tabloids. However, her relationship with Vanity Fair is so bad that she tried to get her A-list friends to blacklist the magazine. Apparently, the entire feud between them was because the magazine published a story about Gwenyth that was not approved by her. And although it's a nice gesture for a magazine to show you their stories beforehand, it's certainly not something that celebrities are entitled to. According to page 6, the feud was between Paltrow and the magazine's editor at the time, Graydon Carter. She was asked by Carter to collaborate on the content for their cover story, but Gwenyth decided to refuse because they had recently done an unflattering story on one of her ex-partners, Brad Pitt. When Paltrow turned down the offer, he decided to go along with publishing the piece anyway, much to Paltrow's dismay. In response to this, Gwenyth sent out an email to a slew of her A-list friends, telling them to blacklist the magazine. The tab reported that one quote from the email read, quote, Vanity Fair is threatening to put me on the cover of their magazine. If you are asked for quotes or comments, please decline. Also, I recommend you all never do this magazine again. Apparently, this semi-threatening email did not make Carter back down, and it only made him want to publish the piece even more, commenting that the media does not have to look out for celebrities. Next up, Joan Rivers. Everyone knows that you should not mess with Joan Rivers unless you want to feel the heat, and it seems that Paltrow learned that the hard way. Joan's show Fashion Police is where she dished out most of the shade about celebrities. I miss that show so much. The feud between them started when Gwenyth made some digs at Joan's expense. In 2013, Gwenyth told Harper's Bazaar that she'd quote never do Botox again because she looked crazy, which is fine, but then she added quote I looked like Joan Rivers. And of course, after making comments like that, Joan's gonna clap back. And she took it out on a number of Gwyneth's outfits on Fashion Police. After some back and forth, Joan went on an episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. When asked which celebrity gave the worst criticism of Fashion Police, Joan said, quote, the worst criticism was Gwenyth Paltrow. She came in and yelled at us, but she stood up. She can't sit down because she's got to stick up her rear end. Adding, quote, so the world's most beautiful woman voted by Helen Keller and Stevie Wonder. So clearly it's more than just a little friendly fire, and the two really do not like each other. Next up, Simon Stevens. Simon Stevens is the chief executive of Britain's National Health Service, and we're talking about him today because he called out Gwenyth for the health treatments that she was promoting through Goop. During a 2020 event at Oxford, he took the time to trash the claims that Gwenyth was making on her Goop blog, along with her Netflix series, The Goop Lab. Stevens claimed that Gwenyth conveyed, quote, considerable risks to health because she gave credence to, quote, quacks, charlatans, and cranks while promoting various untested wellness products and services. Some of his least favorite treatments promoted by Gwenyth are colonic irrigation and DIY coffee enema machines, which sound truly horrible. Stevens stressed that almost none of the claims she makes are backed up by science. Stevens definitely has a point, because Goop was actually forced to pay $145,000 in a settlement for false advertising, so he's not the only one doubting what she's selling. And lastly, Gwenyth Paltrow herself. Because Gwenyth was born into fame and fortune, she's grown up with the press and people watching her every move. That's why she makes a point to care as little as possible about what people say about her and do her own thing. However, this free attitude does get her into a lot of trouble with the public that find her snobby and out of touch. Sometimes Gwenyth can even find herself pretty insufferable. She told the Sunday Times' Style magazine that it took until age 40, quote, to start getting my head out of my Gwenyth has been open about the fact that fame changed her for the worst, and she didn't like herself a lot of points in the past. Apparently, after the success of Shakespeare in Love, she got insanely more famous and became her worst self. When speaking about her post-Oscar life, she said, quote, look, I'm famous. I get famous person treatment. You don't want to be an a-hole, but slowly if people start removing obstacles for you, if you live in a world where you never have to sit in line, where people don't confront you, where they don't tell you the truth, that's what you become. That's what I became. Luckily, my dad burst my bubble for me in a way that it could never be reconstructed. So that's all for the list, guys, but before I go, I'm gonna shout out some comments from my video on Wendy Williams. Lodge the Fox says, don't forget the come on down comment she made after Drew Carey's ex-fiance was killed by her ex by being pushed out of a window. Wendy is just garbage. Yeah, I didn't include that one in the list because it's a little dark and I wasn't sure that was for everybody, but that was a really, it was just like strange and really odd. I watched the clip of that and I'm like, very, very strange and disturbing, that one. You guys can look it up on YouTube if you want. Then Rebecca said, I know she's a gossip, but I also think she says some of the things to stay relevant. Without drama, she wouldn't have a job. I agree with that. I feel like with even stuff we say on the show, or with things that people say, they don't always mean it. It's mostly just, oh, we're covering this type of story, so have this type of angle. So with Wendy, she's always pretty much against celebrities. She very rarely goes to bat for a celebrity, so that's just what she does. She hates on celebrities and people love her for it, so she can't really do anything else. Alright guys, that's all for the list today. Thanks so much for sticking around if you made it all the way here. If you liked the video and want to see some more, make sure to like and sub to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith. Make sure to check us out on social media, and I'll catch you all in the next one.